Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Jimmy, as you know, and I wanted to take a minute to answer a question that was sent to me by a couple of my friends over the weekend. Um, and the question was, as you can see in the notes, what exactly is an assignable contract? Now, let me first apologize to my very good friends who asked this question. Um, when I heard it, I emailed them what I thought was an appropriate answer. And after thinking through it and thinking through my answer on my very, very, very long drive back from DC last night, this morning, I realized that I probably didn't do such a good job. So this is my second attempt to to answer their question. Also, one other thing, let me give a quick shout out to the Georgetown women's basketball program and Coach Howard over there. Man, that was we had a great weekend, or excuse me, a great day in DC. My daughter did amazingly well. I got to see and meet some of the East Coast parents that I see at tournaments all over the nation and stuff. And I guess I'll be seeing them again in about a month or so. So thank you, Georgetown women's basketball program. Feel free to to connect with our daughter and get that scholarship process going. I'm just saying, we were there. Also, while I mentioned that, Howard, come on, give us a call. Uh, UPenn, give us a call. Let's coordinate some visits because I really don't want to drive that way again just for one of y'all. I would prefer to have that coordinated. Okay, but now we're back to an assignable contract. Okay, so here's the deal. My first answer to this question about what's an assignable contract was pretty technical, and it was correct. It was basically an assignable contract is a contract that you can assign or you assign your personal duties to someone else, typically for a fee. Now, on my drive back, I thought about what that meant, and I thought about that old problem about using the word or phrase that you're trying to define in the definition. That never really works. It's like, how can you describe the color? I mean, how do you define the color yellow without using the word yellow? It's very difficult to do. So um, I thought through this, and on my drive, I came up with this example. So here's what I'm going to say: an assignable contract is kind of like this. An assignable contract is kind of like when you and your friend decide to go to the movies, right? You guys want to go check out the next blockbuster, but say your friend is at the movie place because they're about to buy all the tickets are about to run out. So he picks up the phone and they call you and they say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm gonna buy your ticket and you can just pay me when you get here." So you say, "Cool, bet," and they buy the ticket. When you meet them, uh, they, you give them the money for the ticket, and then you're good. You have a ticket, they have a ticket, everybody's happy. The movie theater has their money, everybody's good, and you keep moving, right? You go see the film, you have a great time. Okay, so where does the assignable contract piece come in? The assignable contract piece is when your friend basically bought the ticket for you, knowing that they were going to buy it for you, and then you paid them the money. Okay, so that's they stepped in your place, and then ultimately you took their space that they bought thinking about you. So you stepped into their shoes, and that is when that assignment was made. In the case of real estate, this happens a lot, actually, especially on the commercial side, when or even the residential side. And I'm going to use a residential example right now, but it happens a lot in the commercial side as well. And you see a lot of developers or pre-developers or people, they will go and buy huge swaths of land and not know what they're going to do with it, but they know that something's going to happen. So they buy this land, or more often than not, what they do is they tie the land up on a contract. So they have an option on the land. They have an option to buy the land, and then they go and find a developer who's actually going to develop the land, and then they sell their rights to buy the property at a given price to a developer. Well, when they do that, what they've done is they're going to assign their rights to the developer that they just found. You understand what I'm saying? So, a contract assignment basically is just, it's a way to sell your rights that you gain when you put a property under contract to someone else, so that they step in and take your place. There you go. That is an assignment of contract. I hope that makes sense. I really do. And if it didn't, okay, we'll try it again. But if it didn't, please give me a call, or type in some comments, and I'll be sure to come up with yet another example. Oh, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, I will give you another example. Okay, so for all of you real estate investor people, okay, so real estate investing is back in vogue now. I would dare say it probably is never left, but many of the less adventurous, or the people who wanted to make sure that everything was going to go right, are now jumping back into the real estate investment market. Okay, so here's what they want to do. They want to either, one, they want to buy a property as a rental, or two, they want to fix and flip like they do on HGTV. Okay, in either case, this works. So here's what typically happens. So somebody wants to do that, but the reality is this: marketing and finding the right property to fix and flip and or rent is tough. I mean, they're just not everywhere. Probably about 2% of all the real estate maybe 2 to 5% of all the real estate transactions that happen in a given market, doesn't matter market, are good deals for investment and or flipping, or which is a form of investment. Okay, so you're looking. I'm not going to say you're looking for the needle in the haystack, but you're definitely looking for a very small quantity of something going on. Typically speaking, the stuff that you see on the internet, or the properties that are available on the internet, are not really good investment properties. They can be, just not likely. Okay, the best deals are typically found when you can find off-market properties, and so that's where this example comes in. So there have these people called wholesalers, and just like in the example that I just talked about, where somebody goes out, sees a huge swath of land, and they find the owner. They find the land, then they find who owns the land, then they come up with a price for the land, and they negotiate all that stuff, and they basically put the deal together. They package it all up nice and neat, and then they go and find somebody to buy that deal. Well, in the residential real estate market, wholesalers basically do the same thing. They use their own money to go and find deals. They market a lot of different ways. They talk to a lot of different home sellers. They spend a lot of time to do it, to find one deal that makes sense. Once they find that one deal that makes sense, where everybody in the process will make money, the seller, the ultimate owner, and or the wholesaler's buyer, the person who's going to buy the property, or the investor, and themselves, and everybody's happy, everybody's going to make money on this deal, then they sell it to the buyer or the investor. Okay, again, that is a very small percentage of the actual deals that they come across, or more importantly, the deals that they make available. Okay, some wholesalers are better than others, quite frankly, but you know what? That's like any other industry. It is what it is. Okay, so in this instance, like I said, when we're talking about residential real estate, you've got oftentimes you've got people. It takes time to do that. So if you want to invest today, and you got money in your hands, it's burning, and you want to get it working for you, then chances are you'll probably use the services of a person who specializes in finding deals. They are wholesalers. What they do is they go out, they find good deals, they put them they find the buyers, they negotiate a price that the seller is willing to sell it at, put it under contract, and then they bring those deals to the investors. The investors then pay. The investor then, or the wholesaler, typically assigns their contract to the investor, meaning that the investor is now going to, as opposed to is going to take the place of the wholesaler in the transaction for a fee, because they don't do this for free. Remember, the wholesaler has a lot of time, energy, and money already tied up into the deal, right? They went and did this stuff without the help of anybody. So they're going to get paid for their services, plus the contract, plus the purchase price that they agreed upon with the seller, with the original home seller. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So say for instance, a wholesaler finds a great property in a great area that is ready to go. Okay, so they negotiate with the seller, and the seller says, okay, I like what you're saying. I do need to sell. I will sell you this property for, say, $100,000. These are all, examples for easy numbers. Okay, the wholesaler may say, okay, great, that's wonderful, $100,000. I think I can do that. They sign a contract. So now there is a contract between the seller and the wholesaler for $100,000 to buy a piece of property A, or a piece of property. Okay, then the wholesaler may then turn around and go to his buyer's list, or go find a buyer, investor buyer, and say, hey, investors out there, Mr. Investor, I've got this property over here that I will sell to you for $110,000. It's ready to go. All you have to do is bring $110,000 plus closing costs to the table, and you've got this wonderful deal, and you're going to make a ton of money on it. The investor agrees. They come to the closing table, bring $110,000 plus closing costs to the closing table. And in the end of the day, what happens is this: the seller gets their original $100,000. Yes, they're happy. The investor buyer, gets a great property with a great opportunity to make a lot more. The investor buyer's happy, and the wholesaler gets the difference. They get the $10,000, the difference between 110 and $100,000, and the wholesaler's happy. That is typically how an assignable contract works, or how the wholesaling process works using assignable contracts. I hope that helps. I really do. I hope that helps. And as I'm looking at myself here in my camera phone, I see that my eyes are very, very droopy. And that is specifically because, unlike every other day, like I talked about on Saturday, I believe, I didn't really wake up at 4 o'clock this morning. But I didn't wake up at 4 o'clock because I didn't go to sleep until 3 o'clock. But I did wake up at 6:30. So, yep, I'm probably going to be a little dragging today, but that's okay. I'm still going to get it done. That's all that matters. All righty. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know, and I will talk to you tomorrow.